want to give a bit explanation about what uh, what the things that really important regarding to education and literacy. Well, I'm going to start with the fact that occur in our education system. Start from primary school, secondary school, and higher education institution. Well, as we know that education plays a key role in human, social, and economic development. So, education is really important for us because education also as a fundamental on our daily life, and also considered to be a human right. And education promotes gender equality, peace, and increase a person's chance to having more opportunity in life. So, in the simplest way, we can say education as the what we call it, uh, anugerah. How to say anugerah? I don't know. If someone who know how to say it, please tell
Gift
me.
maybe?
Let me
Gift?
know. And also, um, we're going to talk about the issues and several questions that probably it is common question that usually we deal with in our daily study activity. Like, well, I find an information that many students, society, and also government, uh, they don't even realize how to interpreting education itself. Because from the content or regulation produced by the government, usually, I mean, uh, the regulation that provide uh, usually do not uh, straight to the needs of our education or our education system or our learners needs and the situation that occur in our daily life. Um, well, after we talk about education, we also uh, going to talk about literacy. Uh, many topic, many problem that regarding to literacy in this country are really inevitably bad. You know, according to the data that released by OECD that conducted in a program that we call it PISA in 2000 that start from 2015. I kind of forget about the exact years when this program is released, and the data shows that Indonesia has really really what do you call it, shameful score. This assessment based on the test uh, that and conducted and the students in primary school and higher school institution based on three uh, three types of basic skill. about reading, science, and uh, what we call reading, science, and sorry, I forget about
Math?
one.
Maybe math?
Pardon?
Math,
Is it mathematics?
mathematics.
Yes, math, math, science, and reading. And it is really simple about the result that got by Indonesia. And this score, it's kind of um, keep keep staying in the bad score. Like Indonesian has 70th from 78 country that joined with the assessment that conducted by OECD. And data, the last data that released by OECD was released in 2018. I cannot found the latest data in 2020. Probably some of us has a data about how is going about the rank of literacy rate in Indonesia. Please let me know because it is really interesting to yeah to see the circumstance of literacy in our country after so many activists, so many regulations that applied in our country. As we know that government always push this problem, but probably most of us do not know what is the impact after the regulation is applied in our country. Because yeah, there's no uh, qualified information regarding to this phenomenon. Okay, uh, I'm gonna start with the simple question. But before I tell about the question, there's a statement that I got from an article that written by my friends. There's a statement that there's still a lot of society that consider when their child join school, it's really expensive, and there are a lot of society that stop or quitting their education. Uh, this phenomenon uh, are still occur in our daily life, right? Based on your perspective, based on our perspective, uh, what do you think about this phenomenon? If we associated with the regulation that applied for our society or the condition or situation that occur on the students capable education institution, or yeah, what do you think? Yeah, I'll give you a chance to get your opinion about this. Who was the first speaker? Okay, Mr.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry because I'm host. I couldn't raise my hand through the tombol because there's no tombol for host, right? I want to tell some story about my field. It means in economic field here. Maybe the other will tell about the system and so on and so forth, about the condition today in the academic field. In my field, in economy, I found that there is no one of university in Indonesia, UIM, UGM, they are not providing the good theory, the good curriculum of economy. They are only promoting the understanding of orthodox economy. Orthodox economy always explaining something about supply and demand. In fact, we are not living in a barter system. We are living in the fiat currency today, for example. And I found only few universities in this world that provide, for example, heterodox of economy. Economy, which is not only for the mathematic phenomenon, which is also relating for the social phenomenon, suicide, unemployment, even the stress of the society, even everything that had been happening in our society is coming from the first name that we call economy. When we get worse economic system, everything, for example, the output will be going to worse. And I found in Indonesia, the problem is the first in our infrastructure and the second in our superstructure. Maybe a lot of occasion we've told about this. But I want to emphasize again. Most of people, since the policymaker is not understanding deeply about the economy, they are only understand that when we have no resources, I mean, it means they try to think that government like a household. In fact, government different with household. Government has a power for monetizing its own money, creating its own money, or subtracting it through the taxation or to the bonds. Uh, since they don't know about this, they think that, oh, we have limitation on budget, so we couldn't provide free education to all of the society. In fact, we can use the money, for example, for providing free infrastructure from the Aceh and to the Papua, and free education at all. We can pay it through transfer of payment, because the end of transfer of payment, it is going to the teachers, and they will spend their money for buying goods and services. It means and indirectly we will create also the aggregate demand for the society. But since they don't know about this, of course everything's going to worse. But I want to emphasize through of my understanding in economy, it's about the post-Keynesian economy. They try to creating some another proposal, anti-mention proposal at the MKC, for example, about the job guarantee and free of social services, including education. Simply, uh, most of people in policy makers, especially economists, when they think printing money, it will create inflation. But inflation always happening in throughout the society. When we had a burden for the foreign debt, we print the money just for paying that. It means destroying the interest rate and so on and so forth. In fact, when we print the money and create the public infrastructure, employ the worker, nothing gonna worse. Like in German reparations or China revolutions or in Japan back then. I give you a simple metaphor. When when I print out the money, a 2 trillion, for example, for just creating the infrastructure like school, bridge, and so on and so forth, I'm hiring a lot of people to go to work there. And also in the time when the money is too much, I'm subtracting it through the taxations, a half trillion, and also from the bonds, a half trillion. There's no inflation. But in fact, the bridge or that some facilities is appearing, right? So uh, in my field, I found that there is no institution in Indonesia provides a good proposal for our makers. So that's why we still get a trouble about the unemployment, about the education, because there's no one proposal which is good to be applied, because they have no thinking about this. Maybe this is my short analysis from my field about education and literacy. But in fact, also maybe some of you will tell about privatizing the education. It means that some people want to get materials, they should pay to the providers. It means reducing the number of our quality, because we have no money for paying that, because sometimes that is too expensive for accessing that journal, for example. So maybe this is my first speaking about this, my comments. It's not specifically telling about everything, because I provide space to all of you guys for giving your arguments. Maybe it's on me. But that's for me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ajay. Really a nice explanation. And is there another one who wanna tell? Okay, Mr. Ahmad, times and place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ananda Rafi, for this time, for this precious time. Um, yeah, probably I will make a little bit story. I hope it will be not so bored. But here, I suppose that in the near future, when I will marry with someone, maybe, and I will have a child or children, one of my huge problem is how to educate my children. That is one of my huge problem in the whole of my life, maybe besides my own education. Firstly, yeah, maybe I will have several several, I mean, solve our methodology for educate them. First, maybe I will educate them directly in the homeschooling. Probably I will educate them with the smartphone, or maybe just directly tell them story related to knowledge that appear in this life. Or probably I will send them to an institution, I mean, an educational institution. But in bargain, I will spend a few money to them. So I think um, it will be fair. Why? Because when I educate them, it means that I will spend a few of my time to them. But in the other occasion, when I bring them to the educational institution, I will not spend a lot of time, but I will spend a few of money to those institutions. But the problem, will they be educated well? And why I need to spend a lot of money to educate them? So before I step forward to the state or maybe governmental position, hmm, how if I make my own educational institution that will not charge many people to attend it? But how? That is the problem that I face when I want to educate my own children. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Mr. Ahmad. I suppose that probably the answer will tell, will told by another speaker, and let's keep the question. And probably another one who want to tell your opinion. Nothing? Okay, let me continue the.
Maybe Hudori raise his hand. Hudori. Yeah, you can speak up, Hudori. Oh, sorry. The moderator is
Wait,
Rafi.
Mr. Hodori? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for your precious time for me. Now I talk by, if you know for the value program for international student assessment Indonesian 2018, Indonesian hold up in 74 weeks from 79 countries in the world. If we compare with the one of the countries in Asia, namely Vietnam, Indonesia is also left behind. According to the data from the World Bank in 2018, at least 55 8% the children in Indonesia has the problem with the reading. So children of Indonesia have problem with the law to read the book. And whereas in Vietnam, it's only 13.9% with the low capability of reading. And the OECD, yeah, OECD, around 20.1 children. From the figure of education, namely Professor Arif Rahman said, evaluating the important thing is not it from the education. It's not only about the research. I mean the last project, but you have to know about the process, the children or process the student, even they study from formal state or informal state. But in this case, Professor Arif Rahman says that um, many potentials which requires having by the student, starting from spiritual and corporal, corporal, feeling and social. In addition to give the target cognitive. The question is, why is aspect important? Because delivering cognitive knowledge is not enough. So we have to, for example, children who has intelligent cognitive, that's good, but effective is not good. It's able to be excellent. That is what I can share to the others. Maybe others will give additional for my explanation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice question. I think that I want to share something regarding to Mr. Further's statement about the importance of the cognitive aspect that um, assessed by OECD. I get that the reason why OECD assess those three aspects regarding to can that that can represent the quality of education in that country. That because uh, OECD assume that those three aspects is the fundamental uh, part of education that should be uh, mastered by all of the students that join an education institution. So if these three aspects uh, do not mastered by all the students, this is considered that the students will not able uh, to understand another aspect, right? Like moral lesson or just complex. That's just other complex study. That's the things that I've got from the internet, of course. And I will share the phenomenon that usually we deal with in our daily life about the meaning of education itself. I suppose that it should be discussed in the beginning of this discussion, but I forget to take my note here, and I just find it about the meaning of education itself, how we interpret education itself. I mean, like many people think that education is our activity that should be done. Like we go to school, and after that we get the lesson from our lecture, or we graduate from that school, and that's it. And they go to apply the job, and they get money, or how how we should assume education itself. And I'll give it time for all the speakers who want to share statement about this phenomenon. Okay, who wanna speak first? Okay, Mr. Ahmad. Okay, time and
Okay,
place
thank
yours.
you for the time, Mr. Ananda Rafi. Um, in my perspective, philosophically, knowledge is something that we want to get in the midst of our education process. I mean, knowledge is related to the assumption. Knowledge is related to the experience. Knowledge is related to the story from our ancestor, maybe, or probably from the previous person who had done it before. So, what is knowledge that we want to grab in the midst of our education process? In my opinion, knowledge itself could be separated by the ontology or probably from the perspective that is appear in our reality life, or it's related to the ideology from something that just happened in our imagination. So what is actually that knowledge itself? Is it related to the imagination, or is it related to the reality of our life? Is it related to our existence, or probably is it related to the question? So in my opinion, knowledge itself could be appear or maybe could be grabbed by many questions that is dialect in the midst of discussion, and we can grab something from it. That is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Mr. Ahmad. Okay, other speaker probably want to tell about opinion statement. Okay,
Mr. Sunny first, I guess.
Mr. Ismail. Okay, time and place is yours.
Oh, Mr. Sunny.
Hello. So this is my So how is it? Can you hear my voice clearly, guys? Is it long pause, or probably there will be quite a gap? Yeah, probably it's too late. Yeah, I speak for 2 minutes and you just hear for about longer than that, double minutes maybe. Okay, anyway, I'd like to talk a bit about education. Okay, so in terms of knowledge, Mr. Afida has been quite very well in elaborating that. But so far as I know, regarding education, I can say that education is similar things to impact. Yeah, so education, it means just how you can benefit others. Others can feel you, can know your very existence. You can bring such a deep influence toward them, and they know you from how you can give something toward them. So, and no matter how educated you are, how high and how long you have earned your education level, and as long as you do not impact others, so it's meaningless. So it is not education, but it's probably theoretical framework, some like research methodologies or something like that. So yeah, education is firstly is impact, and the second one, education is change. What I can say regarding change, I can say that change is um, when you switch yourself toward something more positive. So change is not a term when you become someone or something worse. Okay, change is like an indication that you move from one place to a higher one. Okay, so I can say that you got educations when you actually can change yourself. So regardless where and whom you get your knowledge from, your education from, as long as it can change you. Because someone who can change themselves can finally see somebody others in different way, in such an astonishing perspective. Like someone that cannot change themselves, even though they are considered by others as educated, it all like a helpless fact, because when you cannot change yourself, so it's going to be hard to, you know, to to change our framework, to change our perspective, to change our mindset. Okay, everyone, we can, I mean, like, we can easily judge someone based on our limited minds, our restrained knowledge or horizon. So having that said, biasanya Mr. Angga nih yang sering bilang having that said, okay, I tried to compete him. Having that said, I can say that I took conclusion that education is something related to impact and change. And as long as you do not change yourselves, I believe that you cannot bring significant impacts to others. I think that's from me. Thank you.
Thank you for Mr. Ismail. Has about nice opinion, really really impressive. Uh, for other speaker,
Angga.
probably want to, okay, Mr. Haji, please.
Sorry, Angga maybe.
Mr. Angga, yo, I mean, please, it's yours, Mr. Angga.
Hello, could you hear me? Okay, the question is what education is, right? I I totally agree with the sentence of I forgot the figure, but the sentence is education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. What does that mean? It means that education is a tool to change the world for the better future. It is very important to remember for all of us, especially most of us are students, are studying right now. Either you would like to go to continue your study in university, or you are still in university right now. I totally agree with the idea of Mr. Sani said before. Uh, Education should give main impacts to the society, how we can change the society better in the future. We can also provide the education not only in the institution but also in our environment, especially what has been said by Mr. Ahmad Fatullah before. We can also educate our environment, our close friends, especially our future children. However, we cannot educate our children by ourselves, right? Because we need to also fulfill our daily life, the needs of our children. Of course, we need to work in our institutions. That's why we can't fully teach our children, our relatives. So the best way to teach our children is in the institutions, um, which are states institutions, educational institutions provided by the governments. It is very important because they have a proper or a big curriculum to teach societies. However, the curriculum or what's so called our education system, in my opinion, is not that good, since generally the purpose of our education in Indonesia, especially, is how to provide, how to print future labor in the economy, in the political economic system. That's why most of the students in the world, when they are studying in the university, their mindset, their purpose is how to be in the good positions in the several companies or state companies, in fact. That's why, as I said earlier, it is so hard to create the real education uh, that can be done to solve the problems in our society. When we look at the history, it is normal actually when we look at the whole system in our world. If we take a look on the emergence of education system in the world, basically since the industrial revolution, basically education was provided to solve the problem of economical crisis in the 18th centuries, because the companies needed to have workers to run the industries, because if they didn't have the good workers to run the industries, the whole economic system would be crisis. So many factories back then provided many institutions what so-called education systems nowadays. If we take a look in the history of education system in Indonesia, education systems, especially schools, firstly were provided by the um, colonialism era back then, because they needed to fulfill the intelligence workers to run their industries, like companies or even train factories in um, before we reach our independence. On top of that, they were very difficult to bring the workers from the Europe, because it was too expensive. So instead of sending the intelligent workers from Europe, they educated the indigenous people in Indonesia beforehand. So it was the first time the schools provided by the colonialism era back then. So their purpose was how to gain the advantages, their own advantages. But however, back then there were many intellectuals, especially from Indonesia, who were aware of their operations provided by the colonialism. There were many intellectuals, what so-called organic intellectuals, as Gramsci said before. They were aware of their operations, not only in their educations, but also the whole societies back then. So they not only studied in their schools, but also how to organize people to aware of their operations and follow their rules to gain the independence back then. I think that was very good example of how the education should be. Education is not how we study by ourselves with our friends in the school, but how to we share the awareness got or provided by the educations could create the um, the conclusions, the solutions to create the better world in the future. So I think that it is very important to do in the current generations, to be organic intellectuals. So we not only study in the school, but also organize people to aware of the situation, to be aware of the situation, and organize them to change the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Angga Kusuma who has shared the opinion of this question. Okay, next Mr. Aji, probably want to share opinion.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
time and place is yours.
Okay, education for me is about the methodology, how to think, how to understand the real problem in our society, and how to provide the solutions which could solve the problem itself. So I want to start with a case like most of students, especially who are entering the university in US, most of students get a burden from the student debts. I mean, they get indebtedness, so they should serve some capitalist companies just to provide, just to pay the debt without having an opportunity for improving themselves or doing the innovation ways to, yeah, creating his own businesses and so on and so forth. They don't have choice about that because every month, they should be handed by creditor or is the debt collectors just to pay their debts. So in the situation also, I want to share something about the history. Um, Most of story when the debt which is couldn't able to be paid won't be, of course. So in this first Sumerian and Babylonian era, they are proclaiming something that we call clean slate. Clean slate, it means erasing all of the debt of society in order to revive the economy again, in order to make the people in freedom, in order to free the foreclosure of land, and of course, nationalizing all of the private infrastructure, including education, bridge, way, street, and so on and so forth. Since all of the methodology in that we call economy, young economy, they are not surprising about the history about this. They just proclaiming simply that debt should be paid. So in the situation, we have no choices except for serving or giving up ourselves just for paying the debt, serving the creditors, and so on and so forth. While in the situation, when we look at the data from NIPA, National Accounting of the United States, 80% of populations had burdened more than 85% of their income, 40% in their mortgages, 10% of their student debts, 15% on their social security, and so on and so forth. Because all of the all of the public infrastructures, including education, have been privatized by them. But sadly, in all of the economic curriculum, there is no something revolutions about how to provide the society in a good way. Uh, uh, they always, creating the system which is only serving the interest of the Wall Street. When we look at the cases in Indonesia, also including some indoctrination programs that have been done here, like PKI, or maybe some issue that will appear always, like identity politics that destroy our society. I'm so interesting for putting the analysis of Noam Chomsky about manufacturing concept. Our mind has been fabricated through the interests of the people that own all of the debt back then. It's not only about that. For the people that own all of the resources in the economy, Angga clearly told about the story about in the first time how the education had been started in Indonesia, and also in the situation it has been only serving for the interest of the multinational company to make the cheap labor, which is still having good education, and so on and so forth. In this situation, we have a lot of hidden problem that we should solve. For example, about indebtedness, we had our country had been trapped in the debt, even in the Ponzi scam, how to pay the foreign debt to IMF and to China and so on and so forth. Simply, we are not able for paying the debt. Even when we create a surplus of the economy, that debt always reducing the number of government spending, and it absorbs more than 30%. So that's why there is no spending more to provide a good education, to provide a good infrastructure, and so on and so forth. This is the biggest problem, but we don't realize simply because there is no academic curriculum. It's not providing about this analysis. And also, I totally agree about Angga's statement about origin. Was it? What do you call in the last word, Mr. Angga? I forgot. Organic education, right? Oh yeah, that's it. So it is interesting one that
from Gamsky, yeah.
From what?
Intellectual organism.
Oh, intellectual
From
organism.
Gamsky.
Gamsky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gamsky.
That's so interesting because we should improve ourselves. It's not only for the mainstream way, because they are totally wrong in the fact, because in a balance sheet analysis assessment, when one get debt, one get assets. So because since most of indebtedness society, it is a majority, 90% of the society, only serving to asset to the 10% or 1% of society, we should change it vice versa in the rehearsal way. Of course, with creating the good education, it could be enhancing also to our society for having the same feeling about intersubjective imagination. Same belief that we are in the common sorrow. We should change the system, whatever it takes, whatever the consequences, because it's not fair. It is excluding our potency, how to actualizing our potencies of. So maybe this is my short statement about this. Thank you, Mr. Where is he? Mr. Rafi.
Oh my God.
Where is he? Wait. Hey. Oh, disconnect for a while. Okay, maybe the other. Okay, I will continue in this discussion while waiting you joining again, right? Okay, the other, maybe when do you have another opinion about the education itself?
Yeah. So the
Maybe you could
question,
repeat
what is the question, Mr. Raji?
Oh shit, I forgot.
What is the education for you? What the meaning of education?
Yeah, that's it.
Probably Miss Egi, Miss Ade Sitorus, or even Mr. Ahmad Siswaji. Someone who hasn't spoken up yet could raise your hand and directly speak up.
Maybe just
Reni.
Just tell all of your opinion about this. It doesn't matter if it's wrong or not. We don't care about this. We just care about how you can speak up here, learn together. Vicky, yeah, good. Vicky.
Or Reni.
Okay.
Wait, who raised hand first? Oh, Vicky maybe. Vicky
Yes,
first maybe.
me.
And then.
Oh, Vicky. Okay.
After Vicky, Miss Reni.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Aji. In my opinion, the biggest problem in our education is how we make equal for everyone to feel what is education, what's the important education wherever they live and however their family. Because of in my village, especially many people can continue their study because of money. So what we can do about that? If we say that there are many scholarships from government, but I suppose that they don't know anything. Maybe because of they don't know any information about it, and I think the competition is not easy regarding their environment and their experience before wherever in senior high school or in junior high school. So in the future, I have a dream. Maybe I hope government can give scholarship every single family for one of their children to continue their education until PhD maybe. Because of, in my opinion, just with education, the poor family can change their life and give influence with their environment. I can say that because of it come from my my experience. You know that when I study in Egypt, I'm very how can it's not easy to how can say that to I forget it competition with rich family because of they have a relationship with government. So many people from poor family can continue their study just they don't have any money for their education. So I think that the important thing that we can do about our education, how we make equality from our from single family to feel about education. Because when I study in there, the government give a scholarship every single family for their children to continue their study until doctoral, especially in Azhar Al-Sharif. In my university, when I in Egypt, Al-Azhar give scholarship for everyone in campus to continue their study until PhD and give them and feel free because we don't pay anything. We don't pay maybe for book and book. You know that the book always every how we can say semester give
Semester.
from semester. Okay, thank you. Every single semester they give us the book. The book is free for everyone, every student in there. So I think it's very important for Indonesia to change to change our education. How we make the poor family can reach what their dreams and what they maybe can change their environment, especially their family. Thank you.
Okay, well, our host, our moderator coming back now is Miss Roni.
Is free education okay?
Oh yeah, free education. It's a good point.
Okay, maybe I can answer the Mr. Angga Kusuma question.
Yeah, you can.
I think the free education is free education possible. Yes, in Egypt especially, the Al Azhar University every years they have how we can say investasi investment. Okay, every year they have many investment from many how we can say pengusaha in Egypt. And you know that the teacher, every teacher in Azhar, they don't have they how can say gaji. They don't have gaji.
Salary.
So
Salary,
yes,
wage,
salary.
payment.
I'm sorry. Yes, salary. So in Azhar, how we can say that in Azhar in waqaf, so that every the every for salary and for the books just from pengusaha and the teacher they don't have any salary every single month. Just they have maybe 1 year twice. They have tunjangan from government like that.
Oh, that's interesting in Egypt. What's happening there? Providing the education to all the society. Oh,
What
good.
is wakaf?
Wakaf, right? Oh yeah. I mean, some support from entrepreneurs, right?
Yes, you are like Mr. Aji.
So fascinating. Now, Mr. Remy, now it's yours.
Okay, thank you. In my opinion, education and literacy from regulation, necessities, and implementation are important because the literacy level of the Indonesia people is still low. So it needs to be encouraged by school obligation up to a certain age, which is a regulation by policy through a series of regulation and need evaluated regularly maybe. And the one about education and literacy two in the term of regulation. It is a mandatory to what is penekanan emphasize of regulation that will improve the literacy culture and educational level of its citizen. If you look again now that we are ready now, there is already a 12 years required education program. Besides that, from the direction of the new Minister of Education and Culture in the UN, or national exam will focus on the ability of arithmetic logic and literacy. And the second of in case of necessities, it is important to have people who have a good literacy and high education. In general, we know that the best investment is in SDM, or what is a human resource. Besides that, there is a good literacy culture, which is also good for what is menangkal word wording of, or what wording of the
Okay.
hoax issue of today. Yes, for a student, literacy is needed in education. The problem is on that college student, people who receive higher education. Education itself, I'm to increase the maturity of a person thinking, logic, and literacy. And the last, from the third, for the implementation, increase interest in reading is very important. That we know there used to be a mobile library program, and this actually had a very good impact in increase community literacy. If you see the large number of book collection that have switched to online, or we call online mode, this is also a good step maybe, especially at the time of COVID-19, where it is impossible for people to come to the crowd like a public library. Okay, maybe that's all for me. Thank you.
Going back to Mr. Moderator.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry because I got a problem with my connection. Uh, well, I skipped what the question that continued to. I mean, yeah, skip. Next to the, I want to give the data that released by OECD, that the score or the percentage that achieved by the best education system in the world. There is Canada in the first rank on this assessment. Canada has over 56% of adults have continued their education past high school. Yeah, based on the assessment that conducted by OECD. And the second place, there's Japan. Over 50% of adults have completed some form of post high school education. And the third is Israel. In 49% point nine 49.9% of adults finish their high education. From this data, based on your perspective and based on your finding, I mean, yeah, the data that you got from some resource, what is the key of this fact? What is education system in those countries? Yeah, I'll give the time for anyone who knows about this data. Okay, Mr. Ahmad again.
Okay,
Time
here.
is yours.
Okay, thank you for this time, Mr. Ananda Ravi. Well, I suppose that's something that is different from our country to those states, I mean, that have much advancement in terms of educational level, is about the way of them to see time. I mean, when I make a comparison, maybe when we look at our people in Indonesia to see how they see their own time, probably they will spend it for something that is not precious, for something that is junk. Maybe just lay down to their bed and see something from YouTube, even though I don't know what our people see in YouTube. Rather than the people in the overseas, which has more advanced in their educational level, probably they will force themselves to educate their own self. I mean, every time then they have time, they will look at book or maybe the ebook from the internet, searching something that is precious for them, and grab something that will make an advancement to the knowledge to their own future. So it will be related to the people culture, to the people eager to grab the knowledge itself. So that is my idea. Probably other people will share something that is different. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad. I suppose that it is really what we call it, almost impossible when we compare the fact about education system in our country and another country, uh, especially European Union or USA or another country, because yeah, they has different situation and circumstance, so environment. Okay, Mr. Aji, yeah, do you want to tell your opinion,
Sorry,
please?
Mr. Yes, yes, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Ismail, I'm first. Okay. My analysis why, for example, some countries had in the higher position, higher rank, for example, having the good education rather than Indonesia, because simply they are not privatizing their own public infrastructures. As we know, private sectors are always profit-seeking parties, which is not put attention about how to create the capital formation. Creating the capital formation, it needs some aspects, it consists of some aspect that should be provided to all society, including education, including social security net, and so on and so forth. While for some countries, which is letting it to the private sectors, which is can doing it, yeah, of course, it is impossible for them supporting the capital formation, creating the capital formation, creating a good education for the society. Simply, they are only profit-seeking seekers. So for example, when education has been held by the private sectors, they will only care about profits, don't care about the people, even though you have potency, you have capability for continuing or for maximizing your own self. They don't care about this. They don't just only care about the profits and profits. Well, in the situation, I want to welcoming for our guest today, kita bahas in the run-up.
New ambassador.
Ambassador. Ambassador language. Hello everyone. Maybe that's my little opinion about this. Or maybe you can choose after this, Mr. Sani or Angga, for to the next speaker.
Okay, Mr. Angga, please.
Yeah, I agree with the conditions that has been said by Mr. Ahmad Fatullah before, but I'm gonna explain the situations by economic issues because I believe that people behavior is not built, it's not established by themselves, but mostly by the environment. Environment build the characteristic of the people. So in this case, why people in most developed countries are aware of the importance of education? Because most of them, I mean, most of their industries are more developed than most of industries, most of economic system in the most developing countries in the world. Because as I mentioned, as I explained earlier, the countries who have developed industrial, they have a tendency to create the the advanced students to create or to run their industries. Because if they do not provide good good intellectuals, good workers, their industries would be in crisis, and it is very dangerous for the whole economical systems. That's why they educate, they convince their people to go to the universities to enjoy their education as high as they can, and their countries would fund mostly their education systems because they need the um, the workers from their people. Even though they lack of the workers, they send other workers from other countries. That's why when we see many developed countries, they provide many scholarships to all people. Uh, that's why their people are really aware of the importance of education. This is my explanation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the statement delivered by Sir Angga Kusuma. Okay, probably another one. Want to tell? That's enough.
Mr. Sani, Mr. Sani.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Mr. Sunny, okay. Time and place is yours.
Time and place are yours. You just like set of ceremony. Thank you for the time, by the way. Okay, so did you guys ever visit Malang State University Mechanical? Okay, they have a motto. Okay, and their motto is when learning is enjoyment, and that is distinguishes us from those who live uneducated in developed countries. Yeah, so I can say that they pursue educations like we pursue mine. Okay, can you hear me, guys? By the way, can
A bit
you
unclear.
hear my voice?
A bit unclear, Mr. Sani.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. As I told you, okay. Yeah, because learning is enjoyment. For them, education is a privilege. They earn, they fight for, they live for. So yeah, this is something that, as what has been said or what has been depicted by Mr. Archie. And one's concern is how something can benefit us. And that's what made us stop accepting the benefits from education. We no longer see education as the final purpose of everything we've been doing so far. But education is only a very trivial instruments to earn money. And the money is our purpose. But those who lived in developed countries see in different perspective. They see education is their lifelong goals. So yeah, they try to learn continuously as long as they live. So they actually try to implement what has been said by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we need to learn from the. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know that's why. I suppose not to say longer. Oh my god, this is totally good time for me to explain many things, but because of this side note. Okay, so yeah, I think that's for me. Yeah. So the conclusion is that they are different from us because they taste education as enjoyment, unlike us. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sunny. It's really impressive. Okay, probably another speaker want to share opinion about this. Okay, should I continue the discussion? Okay, we still have lots of phenomenon that occur in our daily life relating to education circumstance in our country. About the quality of education institution, like the favorite one and yeah, the bad one. There is a what we call it. When we want to say the level of, I mean the quality of institution, right? The favorite, the high school, and the bad one. It still stick on the people mindset because when they want to they children to gain the best lesson from their study, usually the parent will send their children to the best institution. Yeah, usually we find that the good institution will provide the payment regulation that really expensive. That's really the real phenomenon that occur in our daily life. And meanwhile, the other institution that has a probably worse education system uh, usually provide payment regulation that more um, I mean that provide payment regulation lower than the other. And finally, the parents that cannot, I mean, they don't have capability to fulfill the requirement to send their children to the good education institution, decide to change their proposed, I mean, their destination, I mean, the school that they want. Uh, After this, uh, the children gain the lesson that far from their expectation, right? And this can affect the skill and the capability of the children itself. And the problem is, and the question in my mind, if we are the government, what the things that make this institution have differences among them? Because as we know that every single students, every citizens has the same right to gain the best education opportunities, right? What do you think? Because uh, indirectly, it means that from the this phenomenon, the fact tell that not every students can gain good education experience. The facilities, the quality of the teacher, and also the support and the communities that exist in the school or college. What do you think? Okay, is there anyone who want to share the opinion about this phenomenon? Mr. Ahmad Siswaji probably want. Oh, Amar Patulu again.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
probably
please.
you could offer the other participants
Okay,
regarding your statement that everyone have the same opportunity to speak.
same
Yeah.
opportunity. Okay, okay, Mr. Zafa probably.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
is
I will
okay.
speak little on a little bit, but I will speak maybe regarding the education. How Indonesia can implement the education in this country. And in my opinion, edu uh, educational in Indonesia is so bad because the government only think regarding the payment, but not the quality. I mean, in this country, the parents or the citizen must pay every semester, like in maybe primary school, secondary school, or in the college or university. Always pay every semester. Always pay book. Always pay uniform. But how about the quality in the education? We can see some country in around us like Singapore and Malaysia. I don't know regarding the regulation there, but as far as I know and I see, the education in Singapore and Malaysia is so better than Indonesia, and their government give a like citation I don't know like tunjangan for a student to study from primary school until a secondary school, and the quality is also good, and of course the teacher can apply and can implement the material subject to student, and student can totally understand what the teacher explained. And I have an example in Indonesia right now, like uh, daring, like in an online study in Indonesia in primary school after university. Could you describe in mind how the child like around 7 until 10 years in primary school can understand to fix the task, to fix that is every teacher never explain the subject itself. uh, the teacher always give a task, give a material, but never to explain, and nothing explain uh, the student got, and the student must fix everything teacher give to the student also. And uh, I know the condition is not worth it to the student come to school to study, and teacher come to school to teach also. But at least I hope the teacher can explain uh, only little bit, only little bit explain only little bit the material to student, so that the student can understand what the material, what the subject, and can fix the material also well. And I don't know the issue, but the government will make the online study is permanent in this country, and I think is a is a is a full system, and is it not worth it to the condition of Indonesia right now. Indonesia, I see my friend and I see a lot of people and a lot of student. When student come to school and get the material from the teacher, I don't believe the student totally understand. Even in the school, even the student attend in the school. So how about that? How about the online study? The student never come to school. The student never know the little bit explanation from the of the material, and I suppose, yeah, the school is useless. It's better if a student is not school, and the student only search in Google, because Google is clever than school, clever than teacher. Yeah. Like I mentioned before, the quality of education in Indonesia is nothing. I never um I don't see yet. I don't see yet the quality itself. Maybe lot of people, lot of clever people can finish their study until university. But if the people in Indonesia, the citizen of Indonesia, compare with some people in overseas, ah, it's nothing quality. So I don't know when Indonesia can change the curriculum. I suppose the curriculum in Indonesia maybe it's better, maybe it's good, but the way to implement the curriculum is so bad. The teacher, a lot of teacher want to teach student well, but have a big salary. It's a full system, is a bad system in Indonesia. Someone like teacher, I mean, must teach student until the student totally understand. But a lot of teacher don't fix their data as well. And once again, the huge problem in Indonesia and the general problem of education in Indonesia, every teacher and every school always see the teacher is same, always see the people in the school is have same intellectual, have a same way to understand the subject. But as a every single people have a different intellectual, different way to understand the subject. If you see and if you give value the eagle from its swimming, of course the eagle will feel full, and of course you never see the quality of the eagle itself. Same like student, if a teacher and school always and a university also always see the student or the people same, have a same intellectual, I bet the education of Indonesia will be stuck and never show the quality itself. I mean, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Zafar, thank you for the amazing statement. Probably other speaker want to share Okay, Mr. Aji.
Mr.
But
Mr. Aji Tutor, Mr. Siswaji, he had raised his hand.
Siswaji, yeah, Mr. Ahmad Siswaji, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is for answering some question from our friend before. And I make some 3 points here about what do you think about the education itself? Or what's your opinion about education itself? Okay, for the first question, this is just my opinion because we know that education itself, this is come from general aspect, not only about academic term or maybe just we have to study in school, but also education itself is not with this. This is a long life process. Uh, since someone was born in a baby until he will be die, and then yeah, this still long process. And also, what is the first thing for education itself? This is come from their family, and of course, someone is will be lucky if they have a good family. For example, they have educated parents and also support from their environment. And then next one, it is still part of education. Just in from my opinion, sometimes we forget about we before we learn about some material in school or in another level in education. Yeah, we have to learn first for the ethic, code of ethic. Sometimes we forget how to understand about the ethics. I think this one. I uh, read some article from Japan that the characteristic of people in Japan, the earlier age from the children before they study in the next level in school, for the first time, maybe in 1 or until 5 years, the first step there, and they just learn how how to understand about the ethic itself, and also how to care to other people, to for other friend also. And then yeah, sometimes we forget for this one, and also this not only to be responsible for the government itself, but also all of society in our country. Yeah, we have this responsible, yeah, to the next step. And then also, if we come back, sorry, the next question. Sorry, it's so many question here. Uh, did our government implement that some rule how to give education to our people? Yeah, based on our constitution and our law, that yeah, we have a good constitution and good law, but how to implement this one? Yeah, of course, we still have many problems here. For the practically, sometimes this is we like us we make a roadmap or maybe blueprint, but how to execute the blueprint is not easy. Like we can what is start from A and then to B step and then to C step and etc. But yeah, this is still become our challenges for us. And then yeah, yeah, we have many problem here, not only about education itself, but yeah, our society and then our economy, and yes, as many else, tax, and then the government itself, they have the problem, and sometimes they are busy for their problem and forget to give service to the people itself. And then if we compare with our education system with another system from another country, yeah, of course, we know that some countries they have a good quality for education. For example, I hear from our moderator before, for example, for Canada and then Japan and then Israel and then maybe Singapore or maybe another country of United States or Australia. But yeah, or maybe Finland and or Sweden or Germany, Turkey. But yeah, this is the sorry, I mean every country, they make their system based on their characteristic. And sometimes from this one we forget actually what is our real characteristic. Because if we imitate from Japan. For example, the full day school. This is come from the Japan system. But yeah, after we practice practically in our country, after 4 or 5 years full day school, yeah, so many. Yeah, this is the choice for the parent who work from morning until afternoon, but it's not good for the children that they have to get the forcing learning from the morning until afternoon also. Yeah, and after come back from the school, just yeah, just go to sleep after that, and there is no repetition from them. But yeah, we have many optional here, and then what else? Yeah, sometimes we forget about our character itself. Yeah, I mean this one. Actually, we can make some system or duplicate some system from another country, but yeah, at that time we have to make like us. We have to what is compare with our local wisdom. Yeah, because of course our people character is different with people from another country or foreign people, and also this is one point when this is a big challenge for us that sometimes we cannot what is stop the laziness itself. For me myself, yeah, during study in university and until now, I can know to understand myself that actually we live in this world not only about getting job or getting food or yeah etc, but also we have to understand that education is every daily need for our life itself, not only what is this is responsible, but also yeah we need the education, and we need school or we need everything. And also what is if I can give another opinion, yeah, sometimes our student for me myself, we don't afraid for the tutor or maybe the teacher or maybe the headmaster itself, but we just afraid for how many costs we have to pay. This is one problem, the big cost that we have to pay for education. And yeah, it still be the problem for how to with this provide a good education for our people. Of course, for the code itself, yeah, we can share or maybe we can take some example from another country. This is good example for Miss, I don't know, for in Egypt. Yeah, this is good idea. If our what is entrepreneur, yeah, they can give some CSR to help yeah, our education for the refund. Sorry, fund what is dana bantuan founding for the founding. And also yeah, actually if you know in our constitution that for education itself the government will give maybe one what is it, one one fifth or 20% from our national budget. But the reality, this is still I don't know what to say for this situation. And also, if we compare with other country, uh, for example, we compare our country with United States or maybe Canada. Yeah, of course, the Canada or United States, they have their independence earlier than us, and now we just still 75 or 75th, and then America, they yeah more than 400 sorry 3 or 400 years. Yeah, I think this is still a long process for our country. And yeah, don't feel sad for the situation that this is yeah just yeah just what is just give something good, or maybe yeah just give a good example for another that maybe yeah in this era we got many problem here, but I do believe, or yeah I hope for yeah next generation or maybe for our children, the condition we can change this condition to be better than before. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Jay. Thank you for the nice statement. Okay, I'm going to over the opportunity for Miss Aggie Laura. Do you want to say, or do you want to share about this topic about educational literacy. Before we continue the discussion, Miss Reni or Miss Reni Apriliana or Miss Vicky, it just you quantity. If you want to share your notion, please let me know.
Maybe you should choose one to speak up about our last.
Okay. I want to choose Miss Vicky Hoirul Mala.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Would you share your statement or your notion about this topic related
I think
to educational literacy?
I any I don't have other opinions, so maybe you can choose another people. Maybe Miss Reni.
We have to Reni here.
Miss Dyrot.
Mr. Dyrot maybe first. After that,
Mr. Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Dyrot. What's your opinion, Mr. Dyrot, about our last question, for example?
Okay, for Mr. Dairoth, would you share your opinion?
Okay, no problem.
Okay. How about Miss Reni Apriana? She's
Okay,
laughing.
thank you so much for that. But I will read it before. What do you think, so many students? Oh, I see. I little understand what it. Yeah, I think it's the most problem, the big problem. Yeah, if the more student cannot join about the access for study, but somebody can to make like getting scholarship, like if my years like bidik misi and now KIP. So but the financial, it is not big problem for this year, but the new problem is like what do you think about in the Jakarta after have graduation from junior high school, and then the government have a new rules for the maybe 21 years old can to join senior high school again. So this is like just the the new student from have graduation from junior high school is confused. Where is there want to join the high senior high school? Did you get it my point, guys? So sorry. So the new, how to say, the new rules, it's make confused with the parents and the students. Maybe that is the new problem for the education in Indonesia. And you know, the always change the curriculum and change the opportunity for all. I don't know what you say. Okay, just is maybe sorry. Enough for me, Mr.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Reni. And sorry about the noise that is just in my place. So sorry. And yeah, if we talk about the problem that we deal with every single day in our daily life related to education circumstance that we face nowadays, it's really unpredictable because too many problems. But I suppose that we should believe to the government because, yeah, of course, the government always uh, try hard how to overcome this problem. And I will share the regulation that produced by government related to literacy movement based on education and youth minister in 2015, number 23, that 23, that there are some problems related to literacy movement. You know, so many activists or many rules or movement, or yeah, we call it movement, that being tried by government and many activists about to push reading interest of the learners, because that's a fundamental problem. Okay, there are 4 points based on regulation. It is about facility and system. How the government uh, make or build facilities. In the fact, several areas in Indonesia still lack of facilities and system. The human resource that manage the system in the area still lack of knowledge about the effective things that should be done to manage the system. Of course, about the facilities, because you know, to reach all the area in Indonesia is really hard, and you know, the transportations and access to the place or school really really, yeah, difficult, and we should do extra effort to reach particular area to give the facility or the technology update. And also there's a written about the movement. No, it is really it's many. I'm sorry. There are many trying hard to push reading interest in our society. But the possibility of the I mean, the possibility of quitting the movement, it's really possible, because you know, sometimes we cannot find support or sponsor or something that can support our movement, like the donation, the new book, or upgrade facilities or technology that can support the movement. It's also become the huge problem for the movement. And also about the environment, I suppose that it is a common problem that we usually face in our daily life. Environment, uh, the more we gather with the people who has high reading interest, the more we possible can gain the best literacy level, right? Or literacy skill. And the last, uh, relate, or what we call it, how to say, berkesinambungan, because all about this point uh, associated with the facilities and the support. And back to the education challenge, we have discussed about the interpretation of the society about what is education itself. We have discussed about that, and there are three aspects about the basic I mean the future planning, what should be applied in our education system. These three aspects can cover all the things regarding to education circumstance or education activities, and the challenge how we can uh, manage or stimulate the students to accustomed with the challenge that possibly can encounter in the future. It's really important. We can stimulate the students to accustom how to deal with this challenge, and how to make a creation or innovation that can support their study. It's really important. And the second is analysis. As the teacher or lecturer or the tutor, we should stimulate the students how to be a good analyst, and we should tell them what is the best way to do analysis and to make analysis about the phenomenon that exists in our daily life. And the last is capacity. As we know that nowadays the capability of a person is really really important, and it is essential for someone who want to gain a scholarship or for the job seeker. It's really important for the to push or to increase or to improve the capability of a person, because the more we have a lot of capability in our mind, in our life, the more we can gain a huge field for gain a job. And the problem in this country, I want to say that the subject or the content of the education activity, it is far from the challenge and the needs of the industry or the future. I would say it is tend to the future, because where education is not about gaining the job, right? But it is more than that, because uh, we should do another things besides job, like communicate with other people and deal with a problem out of the job, like you know uh, environment problem and many things that we cannot find in the companies or in industry. I i found a statement that exists in an article about this thing. Education this article say that education is not about the cognitive, but education is talk about moral value. So in Indonesia, the regulations that produced by the government always tend to the the capability of the students to face the needs of industry. But there's another things that really that more essential than that, because a lot of students, a lot of people in Indonesia has lack of morality. Like many students that has uh, a good intelligence, but if they don't have good moral, when they graduate from the school, they can make what we call it kekacauan, um, the mass for or the bad things, the bad effect for our environment. I want to give an example. Uh, there's a one student that study in chemistry school. They they participate in the chemistry class. They're really clever, smart. The skill about the material or the topic they has he has mastered all of the things related to chemistry. But one thing that he uh, don't have, he has no good boy. I mean, like he always make something bad when we when they sorry when they when he touch something like uh, manage an event, or he has bad communication skill, and he has uh, bad, yeah, it's all about bad um, personality. After he graduated from the school, the possibility about he can be the uh, bomb maker is really possible, and it can give bad impact for our society, right? It can be the terrorist, or it can be the I mean paid soldier. That's example. And
Mr. Rafi, maybe we have limitation of time. After this, maybe we will give for each of the member here to speak up about
okay,
their conclusion. And in the last, I will give your chance to give your again conclusion for
okay,
2 minutes.
that's that's the last part that I should explain in my opportunities. And okay, yeah, probably that's all for me, because I have tell the data and the information that I've got from the internet. Probably, is there anyone who want to uh, well,
Okay,
share
maybe I
about
will
this thing?
choose one by one for each member
Okay,
here to deliver his own last conclusion for 1 minute. 1 minute for conclusion to all of the
okay.
members. Okay, I will start it by Mr. Kudori. Your conclusion.
All right. Oh, all right. The conclusion is, yeah, education for by online is good. We can study by online. I mean, the apps can give the information, but study by online, we can get the feeling how the teacher means. I mean, the teacher can touch students feeling. So it's better off studying by online, according to me. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. Okay, I will choose next Mr. Siswaji for giving his conclusion. 1 minute.
I still read on chat. Wait. Yeah, for conclusion, this is what is. Yeah, we have to understand about character for our people because yeah, this is not really easy to make our people understand about the situation and also yeah just share for others that yeah we need education for our life and also to make our country to be better. Okay.
Oh, interesting also. Okay, next, Mr. Apida. 1 minute. You can give your suggestion, your proposal, and so
Oh
on and so
my
forth.
God,
1 minute.
is a least time for my speaking, maybe, but I will make it brief. For me, education is something crazy because we will get something that will give a huge impact to the humanity in the whole of our life and the future. For me, there is no any free education because at least we will spend our time we will spend our courage, we will spend our endure, we will spend our commitment to education, to grab the knowledge. So rather than we talk about the salary, I will talk about how we manage our time to get the education. Thank you.
Okay, nice, very nice. Mr. Angga, right now. Mr. Angga. Okay.
The other first. Yeah. My mother is calling me.
Okay, after this, you again. Mr. Sani, 1 minute.
Okay, guys. So spare me for my signal. Okay, my weak signal. Just like to say that education is free. It's totally bullshit because education is like scholarship, guys. You need to put some endeavors. Okay, like getting high score, and it totally costs you 3 millions. Even after getting scholarship, you still need to pay and do some actions for the sake of those scholarship funders and for your country, for your society, even for yourself sometimes, for your family. So yeah, scholarship is education. Education is not free. Okay, that's the conclusion from me. Thank you.
Okay, coming back again to Mr. Angga.
As I said earlier, education was made of the interest of market. However, the history shows that education system creates many intellectuals who are aware of not only their conditions but also other conditions who are more oppressed than them. So as a students, as educated people, we need to be, as Gramsci once said before, we need to be intellectual organism that can be that can solve the problems of our educations and the whole economic system as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, now Miss Egi Laura. Miss Egi? Miss Egi, are you with me? Okay, maybe you'll come back again after this. Now, Miss Penny Marves.
Yes, maybe a good literacy and good education is a good investment for human resources and to choose works or fact in our lives. That's enough.
Yeah, very nice. Now, Miss Vicky.
I uh, I think that education in Indonesia still needs to be improved, especially for poor people, because of with education they can change their life, their family, especially and their environment. Thank you.
Wow, well, good. Thank you, Miss Vicky. Now, Miss Reni Apriliana.
Yeah, thank you. I think education in Indonesia must run a definite and permanent system. Just it for me. Thank you.
Oh, so short, but it contains something that we should done. We should do. Come back to Miss Eggy again. Are you still with us? Oh, Mr. Dairot.
Yeah,
Miss Eggy.
so
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I'm just my headset. I can find my headset. In my opinion, about the education of Indonesia, I'm somewhat. I fear many of the financial costs we will cover or budget as state opportunity to public reduce even further as a campus cost mount or international enrollment drop and you know that the education in Indonesia still have low quality of physical facilities. For example, many of our school and college have damaged building or and maybe a low quality of the teachers. The condition of the teacher in Indonesia is also very concerning, and most of the teachers do not uh, yet have educated professionalism to carry this of their duties or the student, and maybe the next is the low student achievement, like such the low physical facilities and the teacher quality, and that will be makes the student assessment become unsatisfactory. Thank you. That's all for me.
Wow, so interesting also. Oh my God. Now, Mr. Rafi, will you conclude it for 2 minutes before we end this section? Another Rafi. Mr. Rafi, are you still with us? Oh, gone. Is it now maybe? Okay. When he will coming back to our discussion. Okay, Mr. Ananda Rafi, maybe we'll conclude it for 2 minutes to hold of your ideas, your proposal, maybe.
Okay. Probably I'll repeat a statement that I've told in the beginning. Education plays a key role in human, social, and economic development. Promote gender equality, peace, and increase person chance to having more opportunities in life. So we can divide between life and education because education stick together with life, and it is our right as a human. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, guys, this is the end of the sections to our discussion. But before we end this discussion, I will share several vocabularies that had been, have been asked by several speakers. The first, anugrah. Anugrah. Sometimes we can call it grace or gift from God. The second about the fancy vocabularies, which is astonishing, menakjubkan, mengherankan. The third, investment, investasi. The fourth, businessman, pengusaha, or sometimes we can call it entrepreneur. Gaji, salary, pay, wages, payment, wages, wage, gaji. Penekanan, accentuation, mencegah, prevent, tunjangan, subsidy, memperbaiki, rectify, Mr. Angga said in this comment, negate, meniadakan, donor funding, aid, dana bantuan tadi ya, dana bantuan, continuous, berkesinambungan. And I got several grammatical mistakes, sadly, because I'm recording this, I couldn't leave out or type it down in it. But maybe we could still exercise our ability to speak up, and also together with practicing our grammar in a good way. Okay, maybe that is all for our discussion today. Before we end up, could you, for example, open your camera to take a picture for a while? Oh, very nice. Miss Eggy, could you open it, and Miss Rennie also? Okay, I will count it from 3 to 1.
Miss Eggy.
Miss Eggy. What is a good movement? I mean, gesture that we should provide, like this or like this? Oh, like this. Okay, Merdeka. Agus, right? Okay. Oh, but I couldn't do this. Okay. Whatever it takes, I will count it. 3, 2, 1. Again, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you guys for all of the whole discussion. Very interesting. We will meet again in the next meeting. Hope you always health, always in a good condition.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And the last statement, Ota.
Yesterday you said tomorrow.
Very nice. Okay, see you next time, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raji.
Sayonara.